Welcome to Pioneer Mindset, a place where we challenge our mindset and address the discomfort in both business and life by finding clarity resulting in bold conviction. I'm your host, Garrett Ruskamp, fifth generation farmer, husband, and father from rural Nebraska. Whether you're navigating frustration from past decisions or worry about the uncertainty you face today in your business, we're going to learn from our struggles and take on new challenges with a resilient mindset. Join me as I share my journey of struggles I've faced in agriculture as a farmer and family man. I'm ready to dive into honest conversations to tackle the mindsets surrounding key issues that rural ag business owners face that will ultimately help you gain control, leading to a profitable and sustainable business. Let's adapt to Pioneer Mindset and get to it. Welcome back, everyone. For this week's episode, I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about kind of a personal experience that I went through, me and my wife, Ellen. And essentially what this is we had lost our baby, our infant at 15 weeks. I lost that pregnancy, and a little bit of a context about this whole situation, about this podcast that you're about to listen to. I actually recorded this back in April. And April would have been the 1 year anniversary of when this actually happened, from when we lost our son Sam. And so I was kind of planning on releasing that back at that time frame, but it just did not fit. And so I wanted to still release it, so we held on to it till here in October. And being October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, I thought this was pretty fitting. And so I just wanted to kind of jump in here and let everybody know that I did record this back in April. And so if that's why time frame, it doesn't seem like it matches up quite right, well, that is the reason why. So I hope people find value in this and being relatable if you've gone through something like this or something similar. But I just wanted to share my experiences, everything that I went through, and dive into it. So go ahead and take a listen. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that's a little bit different than what we usually talk about. I'm going to be switching things up a little bit. Rather than talking about business or mindset, I'm going to share a personal experience, an experience that Elle and I have gone through this last year. And I really think it's important for me to kind of share this, share my side of things. And then I think it's very valuable for those that have maybe gone through something similar to this. But while I'm excited to get after this and share it, it's also very real and raw for me. So sharing these things are going to be probably a little bit uncomfortable. But really what I'm getting at here is as we get on almost a year from when this happened, about a year ago, towards the end of April, Elle and I had lost our 15-week-old baby. And that was quite the experience for us. It's been a very emotional year. And so I just want to jump on here and I want to kind of share my side of things. I want to share my story, my experience from a husband, a father to our other boys, a father that lost one. And I wanted to share this because I don't think many people are actually sharing about things like this because it's definitely not comfortable. As we jump into this, I want to be honest that I'm not reading off any sort of script or outline, or I don't have any notes typed up. This is me just kind of speaking from my mind, speaking from my heart, speaking what is real, raw, and relevant. And, this is an experience that happened about a year ago, but it also feels like it happened 5 years ago because we've been through so much since it happened. It's also one of those that feels like it happened 2 months ago because the feelings are just so real and raw from when we went through this. So I really hope you guys find value in this, and I hope it doesn't get too long because I'm going to share the story, kind of the context behind everything, but then also kind of where we've been, what we've experienced in the last year, and the hardships that have come about that. So let's just kind of dive into this. And I'm going to start with kind of a little bit of context as to where we were, kind of set the stage up as to how things played out. So back in January, we had found out this was the January prior, so January of 2023 now. So we had just celebrated our youngest son's Rue, his birthday, so he was 1 year old, and it wasn't long after that we had found out that we were expecting again. And so it was definitely exciting, definitely a surprise for us. And to be completely honest, our 3 boys prior to that, it wasn't necessarily a huge surprise. And so with this one, it was a surprise. It was like, oh man, what are we going to do? We're going to have 4 basically 4 kids, 5 and under. This one was expected to be born in October. And at the time, our oldest would have been 5 years old. So we would have had 4, 5 years and under. And we're like, wow, this is going to be a crazy household. I would have been 28. Ellen would have been 29. And there's just a lot going on for sure. But it was exciting. I mean, it's always exciting. And like I said, our youngest had just turned 1. And so there would have been so close between Rue and this next one. And I guess just to be honest, when I keep saying the next one, I'm just going to throw it out there. His name was Sam. The one that we lost his name is Sam. So when I reference things and I say Sam, that's who I'm talking about. So Rue and Sam would have been super close in age. And, it would just been a lot of crazy times. And, already had 3 boys, and to add another one to the mix would have been just so crazy. But, we were also excited. We were telling some of our different friend groups, early on, you don't really tell very many people. You maybe tell your closest friends that you can really trust and confide in. And both of us, both Ellen and I, had been in different networks and had a lot of close friends that we could kind of share things with. So she had kind of shared with her friends, and I had shared with mine and the network that I'm a part of, a group of guys. But other than that, we really hadn't told many people. And, things in the spring, they were going well. We were working on some different business things. We were working on our house. We were remodeling our basement. So lots of crazy times, but also fun and exciting times that we were going through. And things were going well, honestly. I mean, we had 3 healthy boys and another pregnancy on the way. So we were excited. Also, like I said, nerve-wracking, but exciting. And so we had gone into our first appointment, I think that 10, 12-week appointment, somewhere in that range. And everything looked good. Everything was going great. And we had the first ultrasound, where you got to see the baby, you got to see the heartbeat. Everything looked great. And so we were super excited. And even so, like the week we had that ultrasound, that following weekend, we actually had went down to Kansas City to meet up with the network that we were part of, where we do some quarterly meetings. And so we were kind of sharing our thoughts there, and we were sharing our excitement and things, like just super excited. And part of the stigmatism of, okay, we're going to have 4 kids, 5 and under. Man, you guys are crazy. But part of it's like, to a certain extent, you kind of like the attention. You kind of like, if I'm being honest, that's something that, man, it's very different. It's very, man, you guys are getting after it and having kids, and you're not even 30 yet, and just wild times. But I kind of liked that excitement, if I was being honest. And so we were sharing our experiences there at that event, and had a lot of people around us that was sharing in the excitement as well. And then not long after that, we had a birthday party for the older 2. They're both born in March, so we had a birthday party for them. And that's when we decided to share with our family. So obviously they were also excited, and it was always just a fun time sharing this exciting news. Then we had Easter not long after that, and we told, the immediate family. But other than that, we really hadn't told many people, and we hadn't, we were busy, so we hadn't come in contact with a ton of friends. We hadn't posted it, blasted out there on social media, so we hadn't told a lot of people. But the people that needed to know, they knew. The people that needed to know, they were informed, and they were happy for us, and it was a fun, exciting time. And it was super exciting getting to tell the boys, because they were just so ecstatic. They were so excited, especially Kip and Judd, being like 5 and 3 at the time. They were just excited to have another sibling, hopefully a sister, but they were just super excited, and we were excited for them. There's so much joy in telling them that we were expecting. Lots of questions as well, but it was a lot of joy and a lot of fun times. So we were rolling right along. Pregnancy, everything was going good. And like I said, we were busy with the house, the remodel project. Even though we weren't doing a lot of the work, we were still involved in everything. And then we had some new business ventures kind of going on, and getting into spring field work and taking care of the cows. We were calving at the time. Just as always, in a busy household with 3 boys and everything else you got going on in your business and personal life, there's a lot happening. So Ellen had another appointment, went in on a Tuesday, just kind of a checkup like they always do. And I remember exactly that she said she had to go in. She had some other things to do afterwards. She kind of planned her day out when she goes to town. She tries to take care of everything that she has to do. And so that was kind of what she had planned for the day. And me and Dad were actually out picking up fence out in a cornfield, cornstalk fence, and getting ready to kind of do spring stuff, spring field work and different things like that. So we were getting after it. And so as we get into this here, I'm going to do the best I can to share this because it's all comes back to me. So I remember walking along, and I've always got my earbuds in, my AirPods in, just something that I've always had. And I hear the phone call coming over my phone, and it says call from Ellen. So I take the call and I answer, and I'm trying to keep step with that, or we're trying to pick up post and different things like that. And I guess for a little bit of context, how we pick up post is a little bit unique in that we do a 2-person job, and Dad calls this hopscotch, to where essentially, I'll get out, I'll walk, and I'll pick up 5, 6 posts, and he'll drive along. I'll put the post in the pickup. He'll keep driving up 5, 6 posts. He'll jump out and go pick up his. By the time I get there, I jump in, and we kind of keep doing that. We call it hopscotch. And so he was off, and I stopped to take the call. So he was kind of driving up ahead rather. So I answered. Honestly, the first thought I had was I knew her appointment was around, such and such a time. I'm kind of wondering why she was calling. And she calls, and obviously her voice was kind of breaking a little bit and trying to spit out the words that they couldn't find a heartbeat. And that was tough for me to hear. Tough for me to hear your wife crying. That's never easy. And so that was, obviously it's one of those points. We all go through points in our life where all of a sudden our life just gets flipped upside down and things are completely turned. Everything that you had planned for doing the rest of the day, that week, that month, everything just doesn't matter anymore. So things get flipped upside down and really go from there. So, okay, they couldn't find a heartbeat. They wanted to take her up to ultrasound to double check or confirm maybe there was something that baby was hiding or something. So she asked if I could come to town. Obviously I'm dropping everything that I have, and I'm coming to town. I said, I'll be there as soon as I can. So I have to, I got to take the post that I got in my hand. I got to walk up, and I got to throw him in the pickup and go catch up to Dad because he keeps moving. He doesn't stop when I got to take phone calls because it's pretty common. But so he keep moving. So I got to jump up there, and I jump in the pickup and I roll alongside of him. He throws post in. I said, hey, we got to go. I got to run to town. Ellen had an appointment. They can't find the heartbeat. Obviously, we jump in the pickup. We're out in the middle of a field, not far from home, but we jump in and we work our way back home. Luckily, I had the stuff I needed. It was when work closed, but I jumped in my work pickup and I hightailed it to town. And I guess I'm not proud of this, but I'm not a do as I say, not as I do kind of person. But I was messaging the group of guys that I was a part of because they're really the only ones that knew. So I just said, hey, I might need some prayers. Ellen had an appointment. They can't find a heartbeat on the baby. And so I'm heading to town. And that was honestly one of the hardest things was getting messages from the guys and saying that they, they got my back. They're supporting me and all that stuff. So yeah, as I'm hightailing it to town, trying to be as safe as I can, I'm getting messages from the guys, and it's usually reading over my headset or whatever, and I see it, and it's just messages from guys that you've built a strong bond with saying, hey, prayers, man, you got this, you can do it, all the supportive thoughts there. And that was truly just hard to see it come through because, when you send that message out there, you kind of make it known. And the whole time I was driving to town, I was just praying, just please don't let it be true. Please don't let it be true. So that was obviously a tough drive, the longest drive, longest 20 minutes to town, hightailing it to town, dealing with my thoughts, cranking the radio up, trying not to listen to my thoughts. So yeah, ultimately I get to town and went into a side entrance into the hospital, into the clinic, and was there with Ellen, and they ended up taking us up to ultrasound so we could get an ultrasound. And I've been there just, not maybe a short month before that, having happy news, seeing the baby moving, and everything was good. And they did the ultrasound and the baby was not moving. And so that was extremely hard for me, extremely hard for Ellen, just sitting there, just crying, and I didn't know what to do. And to be honest, this is all very hard for me to share because I'm not a super emotional guy. I can't handle when people cry. And here I am trying to choke back tears. And so, yeah, that was the start of a lot of emotions and a lot of things that we had to deal with. And the doctor came in and confirmed, and essentially sent us home, sent us on our way. So Alan and I went home, and this was another longest ride home, silence, and I didn't know what to say. I can't handle tense situations. I just tried to be there for the best I could. And it was hard for me, but I can't even imagine the stuff that she was going through. To keep moving here, we went home, and I tried to keep busy. I didn't know what the plan was. At that point in time, 15 weeks, she was going to have to actually deliver, and that was going to be extremely difficult. But they had to set up that process, where we doctored. They didn't do this process a lot, and so they sent us down to a bigger hospital, which was actually probably a little bit more comforting for us, going someplace that had been through this process quite a few times. So we had to wait a couple days, and that was also hard because we kind of wanted to just get it out of the way. Let's just get this done with so we can keep moving on. But we actually had to wait a couple days, which maybe wasn't a bad thing all in all. Kind of let us process our thoughts, prepare for what we're about to go through. We had to go in early in the morning, so we had to set up for somebody to watch the boys, things of that nature. So that day we had to go down, got there early, and that was super tough going down into the hospital when we've had 3 pregnancies prior to this, where you go into the hospital and you come out with a healthy baby, and you go home and you start your life. And knowing we were going into the hospital, not being able to have a happy outcome, sitting in the hospital there, just not knowing how this process was going to go, was going to be altogether different than delivering a healthy baby, and just sitting there patiently trying to be supportive for your wife and dealing with her emotions. And I can't even imagine everything that she was going through. It was hard enough for me to be there and deal with my emotions. And so, ultimately we delivered baby Sam, and that was not easy. So we delivered another boy. We had 4 boys. And I mean, at that time, if there was a blessing that, 15 weeks, we could tell that it was a baby boy, and we gotta hold him. So we named him Sam Thomas Ruskamp. And so that was not easy, but it was also a blessing in disguise. Like I said, at that point, we could hold him, we could spend time with him. And really what it came down to, and I've actually, to kind of jump ahead just a little bit here, but the thoughts that was rolling through my head was, around here anyways, if you're at a funeral, there's always a song that's usually played anyways, that's called On Eagle's Wings. Super sad song for me anyways, and a funeral song. But one of the verses there is, hold you in the palm of his hand. And we got to hold Sam in the palm of our hand. But anyways, trying to stay here and keep moving here. I actually because of that, I ended up getting a tattoo with a cross, angel wings, Sam Thomas written in the middle, and then underneath it says, hold you in the palm of his hand. So I've got that memory with me for a long time. So we went through that process, and it was extremely tough leaving the hospital empty-handed, and that was not easy. Leaving without a car seat with a baby in it, not easy. Now, through all this, like I said, we'd been through the process of having three babies, 3 healthy boys. So we knew what we were missing out of. And for a lot of people that go through this, maybe it's their first, maybe it's a little bit earlier on in the pregnancy, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's all hard, but maybe they don't know what they're going through. But for us, we did have 3 healthy boys to go home to. So that was also something that was exciting, that helped us get through the struggles, get through the challenges. But exactly what I was just saying before, we knew that we were missing what we were missing out on. We knew that we were going to be missing out on him taking his first steps, his first Christmas, all of those things. And so that was just very hard because we knew what we were missing out on. And for those that have gone through something similar to this, like I said, that don't have any kids at home, there's different stories, definitely not easy stories, definitely not any less difficult going through your mind of, are we going to be able to go through this process again? Are we going to be able to have a baby at all? Are we ever going to be able to have kids? And I can't imagine what those stories are like. I was just grateful at the time that we did have the boys to go home to and help us get through the struggle. So, like I said, to kind of keep moving on here, as we went on through the next month or two, it wasn't easy because people didn't know that we were expecting, but there was also a few people that did. So there was people that were, asking, you're always afraid that who you're going to run into, who's going to say congratulations and then you're going to just burst out in tears because they don't know what you just went through. And that's kind of the hard thing with losses like this is it's not like we had, and I'm not saying one version or another is harder. It's not like we had a 5-month-old that everybody knew about and then we lost them. And so there's obviously grief there, but it's just people that just didn't know our situation. So you just never knew who you're going to run to, what they're going to say, what they're going to ask. And so we did end up ultimately sharing about the loss and everything that we've been through for a couple of reasons, just so people knew about it. And so that way we could get it out there. That way you didn't necessarily have to worry about who you're going to run to and what are they going to bring up, but also shared about it just for the people that have also been through it so they knew they weren't alone. And that's another reason why I'm trying to share this here today and trying to dig into the discomfort and share these hard feelings. Is it's not easy for me to do, but I want people to know that they're not alone. And so I want to keep working through this here because the next 6 months, even up to this last year, has just been filled with emotions and struggles that we've had to go through. So kind of I was saying with all of this, we dealt with the emotions of seeing other people have babies. Right after this happened, we had different peoples that we were close to that had babies. And that was definitely not easy to see them being happy. And you don't pray or you don't wish this upon anybody. And you're glad that maybe people haven't gone through something like this. Like if you haven't, that's awesome, man. You are super blessed and I'm grateful for you. But if you have, you kind of see somebody going through having a pregnancy or having a baby and you see how just happy they are and you see something that they have that you don't. And that's really what it comes down to is you see something that they have that you don't. And even people that were announcing that they were pregnant, you just, honestly, the stories that are going through your head are, man, they just got it so easy. They don't know what it's like. They're so innocent. They don't understand the pain that can be out there from going through a loss like we've been through. So really what this came down to is we ended up kind of secluding ourselves. We really, all summer long, we didn't do much. We didn't really hang out with many friends. We tried to stay home and just kind of hang out with the boys. Obviously, we were busy with work and everything on the farm. We had plenty to do there. We stayed busy just hanging around on the farm, not doing much and being with the boys. And that was good. It was good for us to heal and go through that. But it was also difficult because we definitely kind of secluded ourselves and kind of shut ourselves out from the world to a certain extent. And I want to take a step back just a little bit, and because I feel like it's super important. I didn't mention it before. Right after going through the process of finding out and the delivery process and losing Sam and going through all of that, we did have a bit of a graveside service, so that was difficult. But it's also to where he is in a cemetery that is about 1.5 miles from our house, something that we drive by every day, something that we can take the boys to and go see him. Because that was one of the hardest things that we ever had to do after even going through all this was to tell your kids, the boys, at the time being 5, 3, 1 years old, obviously Rue being 1 didn't necessarily understand, but the other 2 were so excited, and we had to tell them that, we're no longer going to be having a baby. We had a baby, and we named him Sam. You have another brother. It's super exciting. You have another brother, but he's not with us. He's up in heaven. And this was extremely difficult for us. The only thing that kind of helped us through is Ellen was able to find these little bunnies that had this phrase on it that we could give them. And so we called them their Sam Bunny. And so each one of the boys had one of those. And it's kind of ironic because where I feel like I'd kind of come up with the name Sam as we were reading a book to the boys. We like to read books at bedtime and stories and stuff. And there was a book, basically an alphabet book with the old mother rabbit lived in a shoe and she had 26 children and knew what to do. And it went through names all the way from A to Z. And one of those was Sam. So it was a, Sam Bunny. That's kind of where we got the name, or where I picked out the name. I kind of liked it. And so it was kind of ironic that we were able to find these Sam Bunnies and give them to the boys. So they still carry them around and they're very precious to them. And it's something that they can hold and remember. And like I said, we did go through and we buried Sam and put him in the cemetery, and we try to go there from time to time, and we drive by there all the time. And The boys, they know that that's where Sam's at. And they're just so innocent at their age, they don't know any better. And so that was just super heartbreaking for us to have to tell them that and to deal with the questions, especially from Kip. He had so many questions and we didn't know how to answer them. So I just wanted to throw that out there and mention that because I think that was super important because that was one of the harder things that we had to go through. But as we went through this whole process in the summertime and grieving, I'm grateful that, Ellen at the time was basically working from home, taking care of the farm books. She had her business at the time, Midwest Marigold. And I'm grateful that we were able to take the time to process the grief and to just sometimes not do anything. And I could basically do what I wanted to do as far as getting out on the farm. And that's how I spent my time. And that's the other thing I want to mention is, it was hard for me to be supportive because we grieved in different ways. For me, I definitely did not want to forget about it, but I didn't necessarily want to sit there and think about it all day. So I had the ability to get out and go do physical hard labor and just get outside and go work. Go work on the farm, go be by myself, go sit in the tractor, get after it. And she didn't necessarily have that ability, being she worked from home. She was always at home, and that made it also difficult just to get out of the house, to actually want to get out and do something. And we grieved differently. So it was really hard for me to be there. And I won't say that she grieved more than I did, but naturally she's a woman and she probably feels her emotions more than us guys do. And so I do think she just grieved differently. And so it was hard for me to be there for her and to be a supportive husband and father when I needed to be. And that was just kind of the struggle that we have within our marriage. So I wanted to bring that up as well. And essentially, as we went through, we continued to have our quarterly meetings at Kansas City with the network that we're part of. So that was also difficult, kind of sharing our news there. Everybody knew about it, but sharing our news and sharing the struggles that we'd been through. But I'm also grateful for the outlet that we had there to go through and share in a no judgment zone, share with other people that have also been through the same thing. And they were super supportive as well. It was a great family atmosphere to be a part of. I mean, those are members, groups, families, operations that are from across the country, but when we come together, it really truly feels like a family. And so I'm grateful that we had that. But as we continued to go through the summer, continue to go through events, luckily that was one of those summers that we had very few weddings, very few outings. We didn't do much, so we were able to kind of just stay at home and process everything, which, like I said before, was good and bad. As we got into the fall, things got busier with harvest and different things of that nature. We slowly, over time, I feel like we were getting better. And so there always come struggles there, and we continue to work through this and this grief and these losses. But as we shared about this, especially as we kind of put it out there on social media for people to know about, it was amazing, but also disheartening, all of the people that have been through something similar to this and that reached out, that shared their thoughts. And it was very comforting, but also, like I said, disheartening that so many people have been through such a hard, difficult time like this. And that's exactly kind of why I wanted to share everything that we had been through. I wanted to share my experience, because even if you haven't been through this, I want you to just, first off, be grateful. And I'm not trying to say that in a negative way. Like I said, I'm not trying to say, that in a demeaning way, but be grateful that you have been through the things that you have. And if you have been through something like this, I'm just here to really empathize with you, that I've been there and I've dealt with these things and I'm still dealing with them. And I just necessarily don't always have all the answers, but I want to just say that I'm here and I'm here to share my story. And that's exactly why I was trying to go through this. And I really hope that a lot of you guys found this valuable. And I just wanted to share that it's important for us as husbands, fathers, to really be there for our families and be supportive and be willing to share the emotions that we're going through. Because a lot of times, even if I'm trying to be supportive for my wife, Ellen, I'm trying to maybe put up a good, strong front so that way she doesn't see me being emotional. And let's be honest, we just don't like sharing our emotions. Even going through all this, it was easier for me to be supportive for her and literally just be there for her than it would be for me to share my emotions, to face the challenges that I've been through. because that's just never easy for us. It's definitely discomforting. And so it's not easy for us to go through and actually share what we've been through. And that's why I wanted to take the time today to share our experiences in the past, share what we've been through this last year, share that as each time we went through a milestone, especially as we got to Sam's due date. That was October. That was Pregnancy Awareness Month. That was not easy, as we saw other people share about the babies that they've had. As we were around those babies, that was not easy. And even getting thoughts, like I said, there's a lot of people that reached out, tried to give their condolences, whatever that may be. But there was a lot of people that I would say almost forgot, and maybe not necessarily to their own fault, but almost forgot everything that we'd been through. And even though they had the best of intentions, didn't know how to come across to us. And so I'd say, if maybe you haven't been through this, be mindful of people that have been through this. Be aware of people that are maybe having struggles, and just be a little bit more considerate as to the things that you're saying. Because there was definitely people out there, and no fault to their own, but they kind of came across on the wrong way, and we were just, the comments that were maybe made, they just maybe didn't understand the things that would maybe trigger somebody that had been through this. And dealing with everything that we've been through, you learn to be grateful, and especially I've learned to be mindful about, you don't necessarily ask, well, when are you going to have another kid? Or, why are you waiting to have kids? Or any of those comments like that. I really try to shut those down, because you truly never know what people are going through. And any comment of that nature doesn't have to be related to kids or pregnancy. Just, you truly never know what people are going through. So maybe just be a little bit more mindful or aware of the things that you're saying. And those are kind of some of the lessons that I have learned. And as we've gone through this, I've tried to be better about how I speak, essentially. And as we, like I said, progress throughout the year, a lot of things that were triggering were obviously Sam's due date. Obviously, we get into holidays, being around other people that had babies, and maybe were announcing pregnancies. Especially a hard time was as we got into Christmas. Baby Sam would have been literally like 2 months old, 3 months old at Christmas. Ellen was super excited to have a newborn at Christmas and be able to have the newborn snuggles at that time of year. And we just felt like we got robbed of all that. And that was the hardest part, was feeling like you got robbed. And through all this, we do feel like I've tried to lean into my faith, but it's so easy when you go through a difficult time like this just to question, like, why? Why are we going through this right now? Why am I having to console my wife on a daily basis and I'm not knowing what to do for her? And why are we having to go through all these struggles? Why am I having to sit here and pour out my emotions? Why? It's so easy to ask that and not to understand truly why. And so it was hard for us to have faith, but honestly, if I didn't, I don't know what else I'd do. I told myself every day I need to lean into my faith and pray that this will work out for the better. And honestly, I definitely wish we would not have gone through this, but I do feel like with this podcast, with me being somebody that can actually maybe take down the emotional barrier and share my emotions, I really do hope that I can be somebody that can be a support for somebody else. And that's another reason why I wanted to share about all of this, is because there's so many people that have gone through a difficult time, even if it's not something related to losing a child of this nature or anything like this. Maybe you're just going through a difficult time somewhere else in your life, or your personal life, or your marriage, or your business, or whatever it may be, or with your kids. I want to be somebody that's gone through the struggle, gone through the fire, willing to share about it, and willing to be somebody that could be a support for somebody else, to show other people that it's okay to share your emotions and to live in the discomfort, but also just to have faith in everything that we do. Hey, I should start to wrap this up because, like I said, I don't have much of a timeline here or an outline that I'm following, but I just really wanted to say that I'm here for anybody that needs to reach out. I'm here to share my stories and my struggles, and I hope that a lot of people found value in this, because I think it's important, especially because, like Ellen, she's been super brave and courageous, and she's shared about this on a couple podcasts. But other than that, I have not shared these struggles. That's why when I was talking about the real stuff, the pain, the emotion, the feelings that were all coming back, I was breaking down. Just here now, after it's been a full year since we've gone through this, I'm still breaking down in tears because I just feel like there's a lot of guys that I haven't shared this, and there's not many guys out there that have an outlet for sharing things like this. And so I'm here to share the real and the raw and the relevant feelings that I've been dealing with. And I really hope that you guys find value in that. And essentially, that's really all I got to kind of share on this experience. I may kind of touch on this down the road because we definitely think this is something that needs to be talked about more and dig into the emotions. This isn't business related. This isn't necessarily mindset related, but it all pertains to everything that we do here. I can guarantee you that as I was going through all these struggles, it was hard for me to focus when I was working on the business or in the business or out in the tractor. Definitely lots of emotions, stories that are coming up in my head, things that I was dealing with. It definitely affected my mindset. So we may not be directly talking about business or mindset, but everything we do here in business related, personally related, kids, family, it's all tied together. That's what we talk about core 4, body, being, balance, and business. Everything is tied together. If you've got one of those areas that's weighing you down, it's going to throw the other 3 off. And that's why I think it's important to share these things and to work through them. So I look forward to maybe talking about this in the future again. Like I said, it's not easy for me to talk about, but I think it's super important for us to actually get out there and talk about these things and to share about it. So with that, I'm going to close this off and we will catch you next time. Thanks for tagging along with me today as we sharpened our mindsets. If you've gained insight from today's episode, be sure to take a screenshot to share or send this episode to somebody who might also find value in it. For more, follow me on Instagram at Garrett Ruskamp or on Facebook, and join me next time for more conviction through clarity.